Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Armchair Racers podcast. My name is Austin Belke. Alongside me, as always, is my great co-host Kenny Kibbe. Real good show for you guys today. We're going to start by going over the NASCAR news. Daytona Road Course. Wow, rainbows, cautions, crazy. Kenny, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought that I kind of thought the last stage of the race was just going to kind of play out and look like Chase Elliott was kind of going to dominate the end of that race. And then we got that caution with like 14 to go and just caused chaos the rest of the race with restarts and restarts and restarts and tire strategy and all this stuff. And um, yeah, I think unfortunate for Chase Elliott kind of screwed him out of it. But the guy who ended up winning, Christopher Bell, first career Cup Series win, but he went up and earned that. I mean, I believe he was one of the cars who also took tires with Chase Elliott, and he was actually involved in one of the accidents towards the end of the race. Got into, I think it was Truex, got into him and spun himself out, and Chris had a tire rub, but he kept going, and that kind of popped his fender back out, and he was able to keep going, and he went down and he ran down Joey Logano, who stayed out on tires, and beat him with the absolute cleanest pass you could ever have made at that road course at the last chicane there. Really good pass, and went and drove away. I'm not a Toyota fan, and I'm not really a Christopher Bell fan, but I think he's a good kid, and I really respect how he won that race. What do you think?
I mean, as a Chase Elliott fan, I was very pissed off that they threw the caution for wetness in one part of the track, especially because it wasn't flooded like how it was in the 2018 Rolex 24, or excuse me, 2019, I believe, um, or at least like heavy downpour. It just kind of seemed to be damp in one part of the track, and NASCAR threw the caution, which they reserve the right to. Good on them. It's their prerogative to mess up the race somehow. But I feel like as a hardcore race fan, I'd rather just see it play out. Even if Chase Elliott wasn't in the lead and would have benefited from the caution, I think I still would have rather had them just let the race play out and see who would have won it. Um,
Yeah, I think that I was disappointed by that caution too. They said that there's officials standing in different areas of the track, and if they see the track changing color, that tells them that it's wet enough to throw caution. But eh, I mean, I didn't see any cars like even starting to struggle with handling through any parts of the track, so I
no,
it's hard
and
for
you
me to
could
believe it
tell
was
it
wet
was
enough.
worthless because they threw the caution so everyone could pit, and not a
And
single
nobody,
car put
yeah,
on rain tires. That should tell you you messed up. Okay. If the drivers start to complain, then you can throw the caution because the drivers complain all the time, and NASCAR's like, well, we'll just let them keep racing. Okay. Like Tower, do you see anything? Pace car guys, do you see anything? Let's check the cameras and see if there actually is oil on the track. And then, oh my God, Casey Kane's in the wall from the lead. You hate to see it.
yeah. See, but like it does put NASCAR in a tight spot because if they would, let's say they would have let it go, and let's say it would have kept raining. If they want to keep letting it go until somebody like wrecks, then somebody's going to throw out, well, why didn't NASCAR throw a caution? Because, now these guys are wrecking.
I realize they're in a tight spot, but like, wait till they complain on the radio, or it really seems like they're having handling issues. Because I mean, I don't think anyone was complaining about the rain.
Somebody might have because, there's going to be teams who are going to want to facilitate a caution to benefit them. I mean, you hear it all the time with like debris. Oh, there's debris on the track. Oh, there's fluid somewhere.
I mean, tossing out your water bottle because you want a caution.
But I mean, I didn't like to see the caution, but I I understand where it come from. It's basically all I'm saying.
No,
But
I get you. It's just unfortunate that the sport has to look so stupid. Because like in F1, if it rains, they just let them keep going, and if they need to change the tires, they can. Same with IMSA. If it starts raining, they come in and change tires if they want.
yeah, I think that's how it should be too.
But NASCAR on a road course, fuck it.
I think they're kind of I, it's almost like they're wanting to take care of the drivers because they know these cars aren't really meant for road courses. They know a lot of these drivers are not very road course experienced, and I think they're trying to prevent stupidity from happening, is my guess. But I'm with you. I think that they should just keep it green, and you guys determine when you want rain tires. Um, but I did want to give a quick shout out before we move on to AJ Allmendinger, P16 or P7 in the 16 car. Michael McDowell, top 10, eighth place. Ryan Preece, two top 10s to start the season, ninth place. Um, Good runs for those guys.
How about Brad Keselowski spinning out multiple times, and then when he
Yeah,
was trying to get passed by Chase Elliott, he just decided to like move out in every single corner, just miss the apex lockup and absolutely dick over Chase Elliott. That was the most shit ass racing I had seen all day.
and he comes home fifth place.
That was stupid.
And
I think Chase should park his shit
I just think he had a rough day at the office. And then Kurt Busch spins through the grass
from the lead.
from the lead through the second horseshoe, and he ends up fourth because he didn't take tires. He stayed out and basically held on. I mean, he only ended up passed by like two cars, which would have been Bell and I think Hamlin, because Logano was on the
Yep.
same strategy as him. So hey,
Honestly,
kudos to him.
masterclass in defending. That was really good on his part. Kind of a dick move, but it's his prerogative to do that because he wants points too. So I understand where he's coming from. Did you see what Jordan Taylor said about that wreck, Kenny?
Oh, no, I think I did, but I
Well,
didn't.
he's got that camouflage wheel, so Jordan
Oh
just
yeah,
goes, no wonder he spun out. He doesn't have a wheel in the car.
very Jordan Taylor-esque. Moving on to the Xfinity Series. Now, I don't remember if we talked about the Xfinity Series last week at the road course, even though it happened before the podcast. Do you
I
want?
thought we did. I
Eh,
can't remember.
well, we can say F it. Ty Gibbs got his first win in his first start. Let's move on.
Good for him. What a race. Oh, they also announced he's going to do like 14 more races. Is that
Yes.
because he won that race, or is that just like, well, I guess we'll announce it now?
I don't know. Maybe after he won, he's like, Papa, can I do more races?
Yeah, because
And then,
he's been handed everything with a silver spoon like the Dillon boys, but let's only do that to the Dillon boys.
yeah. So, maybe that was it. I don't know. Anywho's, we'll go to Xfinity this week, which was at Homestead. Um, Back to oval racing, and pretty like the first stage was pretty boring until there was a caution laid on. So Homestead a very abrasive track, and these guys have a very limited amount of tires, and some guys took them, some guys didn't. They wanted to save tires, so the guys who took them stormed up through the field and ended up winning the stage. So you had AJ Allmendinger win stage one with his teammate Justin Haley right behind. Josh Berry ended up eighth in that stage. Good for him. Um, and then you go to stage two, and kind of the same thing happened where it was like a little bit less than 10 laps to go, and there was a caution, and some guys took tires, some guys didn't. So he ended up, Austin Cindric stormed through the field. He restarted like 22nd with like, I don't know, 6, 7 to go. Goes up, wins the stage. Myatt Snyder was second. Jeremy Clements took tires, ended up sixth that stage. Ryan Sieg seventh. AJ Allmendinger eighth. Landon Castle got a stage point in 10th in the 4 car. And then that stage three, that was an interesting um, race. Did you watch that final stage, Austin?
I did not. I watched some, but I was mostly just watching your Twitch stream and finishing up my model. I was also putting the tonneau cover on our truck, so I missed a good chunk of the race. I also missed, in my opinion, the most important um, part of the race.
Yeah, so basically, we're in stage two or stage three, and like we get a caution like that's right on the money for um, making it to the end on fuel, and I can't remember if we got another caution right after that or not, but basically, uh, Brett Moffitt and a few other guys pitted for tires, and a bunch of guys stayed out because they thought, we only have one set of tires left, and except for some scuffs, so we're gonna stay out. Well, we start running, and it's staying green, and Brett Moffitt storms up through the field, takes the lead from AJ Allmendinger, and then all of a sudden, Noah Gregson had been hitting everything this whole race. He hit the wall. He hit a couple drivers. Myatt Snyder hit him. But anyway, somehow his car still has speed in it, and he comes up and he takes the lead away from Moffitt. And these guys are running, and they're unsure about fuel. And Moffitt's actually closing the gap back up after the tires wear out even more. Some guys actually start pitting for tires because they're pretty confident they can't make it on fuel, and they think they're losing too much time. And so Moffitt's starting to catch up, then he gets caught in lap traffic, so he's probably not going to catch him. 2 laps to go, I think it is, 2 or 3 laps. And a lap car, David Starr, is kind of up in the higher groove, and Gregson's committed in the corner in the high groove. And David Starr appears to blow a tire, go up and hit the wall, and Gregson just slams into the back of him, totally destroys his car. And so obviously there's a caution. Oh, and just before that too, Moffitt went up and hit the wall, and then he had to pit for tires because he blew a right rear, but it wasn't a caution. So he's actually saved because he is the free pass, and then we get an overtime finish. Um, and then there was a slight wreck in turn one on that restart. AJ Allmendinger got really sideways, saved it, but they still called a caution. So we had a double overtime. And yeah, it was Reddick and Myatt Snyder on the front row, and Snyder got a better restart and held on for the victory at the end. And his first victory in any of the National Series of NASCAR. Kudos though to Brett Moffitt, came back and finished 7th, which I thought was awesome. Ryan Sieg ended up 8th. Jeremy Clements 9th. He ran the top 10 like all day. And Josh Berry ended up 10th. But yeah, another first time winner. And then Tyler Reddick's car failed post race inspection, and he was in second, so I guess I'm glad he didn't win then.
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you saw he failed post-race inspection, so that moves everyone up one finishing position.
Yeah, he failed post race heights, which that's kind of a shame. That was actually an Our Motorsports prepared car, but it was raced under the RSS Racing banner, I believe. Um, so yeah, he had a good run though. Definitely proves that he's a Cup driver because he was able to take a car that's not really done anything yet this year and run up front with it. But man, uh, that was a pretty exciting race all over the place. And one thing to note is that so far out of the top 3 National Series, there have been 4 first-time winners already. Isn't that crazy?
That's crazy. I was reading somewhere there hasn't been 2 first-time winners in a row since 1950, which would have been like, you know,
Back in the day.
for, right. Well, yeah, back in the day, but like the first time the sport, I mean, the sport was in its infancy. Like it's the only time you're gonna have first-time winners like this.
Anyways, moving on. We'll preview this week's race here in a tad bit. Just want to give a little side note that Steve Letarte is becoming, or is going to be crew chief for Corey LaJoie, at least this week. I can't remember if he's going to be there multiple weeks or not.
I thought it was just this week. It
I think it
might be
is.
how the COVID protocols go too, but we'll see. Yeah, pretty cool though.
Yeah, so he's like a consultant, I guess, for Spire Motorsports. So, and that's a Spire car, so makes sense that he's going atop the pit box. I bet that's going to be kind of a blast from the past for him, going to do that. And also, there's going to be a tire test at Circuit of the Americas with, I can't remember, it was Chase Elliott, Martin Truex,
I think
um,
Joey Logano,
something like
maybe
that.
Brad Keselowski. They're all champions though. I know that.
Yeah.
Could be Kyle Busch. Pick another champion that isn't Chase Elliott or MTJ, and that's who's going.
And then, but it's not open to the public, so it'll be interesting to see um, how that goes. Now I do have the lineup up for this week's race at Homestead, the Cup race, which will be today. You got Denny Hamlin on the pole. This is done by the formula, which I'm not going to get into the math for that. But notables, I'd say Denny Hamlin first, Logano second, Harvick's fourth, Brad Keselowski's seventh, Kurt Busch is fifth. You got Michael McDowell and Ryan Preece both starting in the top 10 again. We'll see if they can hold their own. This is kind of the first real test for how the rest of the season's going to go. So we'll see how those guys do, if they're still able to keep up or not. But do you want to do fantasy picks now or later?
We can go ahead and do it now. We're still on the topic of NASCAR. I know before we did the podcast, I told you I hadn't picked my drivers, but it looks like I already did, and I just forgot it.
Unreal.
So I
Now,
got Christopher Bell, obviously Highline track. You're really flirting with that cushion. Not the same as the dirt cushion, but there is a cushion of air. So I got C. Bell, Denny Hamlin, always good here. Kyle Larson, obviously. MTJ, Kyle Busch, and Tyler Reddick. Kyle Busch actually had the best top average finish in like the last 5 races or something. So I had to go with him. Truex Jr. was second of that. And then, the other 4 guys I have just, they're good.
yeah. So I just made my picks. So far, actually, I'm going to change one of them. Give me a moment here. All right. So the picks I just made, I had Chase Elliott. I actually took him out because I want to save him for some more like road courses and stuff. I got Joey Logano, who has won here before. Alex Bowman, I feel like he's been decent at tracks like this. Could be wrong, but it's just my feeling. Denny Hamlin, he's won at Homestead more than any other active driver 3 times. Martin Truex, he's won here before. He's just solid everywhere. Kyle Larson, hopefully he can return with the Larson line. Not having any practice with a different with this different package might be a little bit. We'll be unsure about that, but we'll see.
Sketch.
Yeah, we'll see. And then in my garage, I had him last week. Actually, I'm going to keep him in there. Chase Briscoe. I think he's a guy that could be. He could potentially shine some weeks, and I want to keep him in there to see if he can. If he's having a good run, I can give one of my main starters a rest. Race winner, I think I'm just going to go with Denny Hamlin. Top Chevrolet. What did you end up going with for top Chevrolet? Probably Chase Elliott.
I did, yeah. Only because he did so well. Or no, excuse me. For top Chevrolet, I have Kyle Larson. For the winner, I have Elliott.
Oh, okay, so I'm going to
I,
go
did, I
with.
didn't want to put all my eggs in the same basket.
I'm going to go top Chevrolet. I'm going to go Chase Elliott. Top Ford, I'm going to go Logano. Top Toyota, I'm going to go Hamlin as well. Manufacturer, I always go Chevrolet. And team,
I think Joe Gibbs would be a solid pick. I put Hendrick.
I'm going to put Team Penske.
Oh, see, in my mind, that's a bit of a long shot, but it'd be
We'll see.
cool if you got it right.
We'll see. We'll see.
So I got Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson. I chose my top 4 as Kevin Harvick, only because he's shown to be successful here in previous years. And then Kyle Busch is top Toyota, just based on his average finish.
So there's 4 people in our little league here, and first time at Daytona for the 500, I did terribly, and I got last. You were second place, but then at the road course, I smoked everybody. I beat you by 31
Yeah,
points.
by a ton.
And so that actually catapulted me from last to first overall by 15 points over you. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you outscored your closest competitor, me, by 31 points, and you outscored my brother and my dad in our little league thing by a lot. So you had a really good race, but even I had a really good race. So
Yeah.
I
So,
Just crazy.
we will move on to the iRacing side of things. So, I guess we'll hit up on BRL first, and I'll let you take the floor since I only participated in one of the races.
I mean, full disclosure, complete transparency. I skipped Friday. Stuff, unfortunate things happened, and I want to go hang out with my friends rather than drive pretend race cars again. So went and hung out with them. I have no clue what happened on dirt.
Well, I heard from J.R. Shepard, who we've had on this podcast before, that Brandon Proudfoot won, and J.R. actually got second, and Billy Northcutt got third. I know of that.
That's my
And
man,
yeah,
Jr.
and I also heard that Bobby Rafferty got crashed by somebody. I don't know who. And then he pulled across the track, did not hold his brake, and wrecked a bunch of other people, and then he apologized for it.
Yeah, he
There is,
wrecked like I think Justin and Robbie, which those guys are actually really quick on dirt too. So I hopefully that didn't destroy their race cars.
not sure, haven't watched the broadcast, but
I did see the replay of that, and that was pretty bad.
yeah. But anyways, moving on to Saturdays. You did run all three of the races on Saturday, right? And did I can't remember if there was a GT race this week.
No, there wasn't because we had Bathurst.
Ah,
Another
yes.
reason I went out Friday night, stayed up late because I knew I didn't have to wake up for it. But then I woke up early enough to do the race anyways because I'm an idiot. So I just couldn't fall back asleep. But anyways, yeah, street stock race. I started second. Todd Liston, also on the podcast, started first. Um, Went out, or no, I think I started third. Yeah, I started third or fourth. Um, James Lowe was second, so he had the outside pole. He went out, he passed Todd on the outside, and I was like, "Shoot, Blueska, dude, I can too." So I followed James around Todd. He opened up like a 1 second lead. Jr. Caught me, and I was like, "Again, you catch me by a second, and I don't hate you. I'll just let you go." Not all the time, but I'm trying to do that now. I let JR go. JR chased down James, and in the last 10 laps, I think he put a move on him on the inside and passed him, which is super impressive that he was able to do that, especially with old tires and on the inside line there. The inside line's a lot better than I remember it being, which is weird. Um, and then there's a new person called like Joey Sockmort in the street stocks. He was super quick. He started dead last, which only 12th just based on participation, but he drove up to like third or something. And he and Justin run me down by like a second themselves. So I pulled over, tucked him behind them, and the rest of us just pulled away from the rest of the field. So I got fifth. No cautions, surprisingly,
Yeah, I
on
heard there
the
was a
race
little bit of
either.
contact, but no cautions.
I didn't hear about the contact at all, but I'll have to go watch the replay. But yeah, no cautions. So move on to the SKs. Um,
Tours.
yes,
I'll correct
sorry,
you
the
every week.
modifieds. Thank you, Kenny. I appreciate you.
Yeah, and I
Um,
actually watched this race from above. I watched nearly the whole thing, basically from the first caution until the end.
I was really hoping you were going to be able to make the race because I saw that Bathurst ended just in time for you to make it, but you would have had to been like on it to get in there in time.
Yeah, I could have. I would have had probably about 5 minutes of practice, and I just wasn't feeling it.
I mean, you would have started in the back too, so it could have been okay, but understandable. So, anyways, I forget where I started. It wasn't a great spot, I don't think. Maybe fourth or something. Um, I just kind of ran around. Um, Forget who started first, but I just kind of running a regular race. James and JR obviously went up to the front. They did their own thing. And then Donnie made some pretty good moves to pass cars. If he wasn't, I think Donnie started second and then he took the lead. Pretty impressive pass on his part from Kurt. I don't remember who. Um, but he took the lead, led a couple laps. Then James got by him and JR got by him. We were just riding around to like a caution, but like halfway through, and Kurt had been behind me, and I was trying to work on Donnie, but I wasn't fast enough to pass him. I was just fast enough to like apply pressure, but like obviously he's not going to spin out, um, even if there's more pressure than I could put on him. So I was just following him, and then all of a sudden caution come out. I went to look at my mirror to see where Kurt was because I was really hoping Kurt wasn't the caution. Checked my mirror, checked my relative, and when I looked back up, like Donnie was like stopped, and I nailed him under caution. I feel so terrible because like how stupid can you be? But yeah, I spun him out. It was weird because I thought we were just gonna catch up to the rest of the field and like kind of fart around at half the throttle till we got the pace car because we were a ways behind James and JR. They were pulling away from us by a lot, so um, I feel really bad for that. I took an EOL. I think I came out like 10th or something, maybe 11th. Passed some more cars, and I think I finished like sixth or something.
Yeah, I was watching that, and I watched the battle with James and JR, and JR got right up behind James, had all the time in the world to make the pass, and he just flat out couldn't. And then eventually James ran away with it, and I think eventually if JR knows he can't make the pass, I think the way he does it is he'll save in case there's a caution. He almost actually fell into the clutches of Todd there at the end, but yeah, James' impressive win. It is probably pretty hard to pass later on in those cars, I'm guessing. Um, yeah, so uh, James takes 1 point out of JR's lead. There, that's actually the closest points battle right now is the Tour mods.
I
Um,
wasn't sure if JR, once he couldn't make the pass, he just kind of like took care of his tires
that's my
and was
guess.
hoping for a caution because usually JR does not just like fall back and just ride around for a while. But he maybe he did chew up his rubber. I don't know. I just it's not usually a JR thing to do to like destroy your tires and then fall back almost in the clutches of not even the top two. So I'm not sure, but James drove a great race, and JR was right there with them.
So now we move to the Grand National Series race. Now I had to start back in 13th because last week, if you guys remember, we had the throughput issue where some random drivers, me included, got just kicked from the server. And by the time
Well,
I
we
got,
can talk about that too because that's actually happened in the pro race, right?
yeah, it did, and like 12 drivers in the pro race got throughputed all basically at the same time, and they basically, I guess, dismissed it on the broadcast and didn't say anything about it, and yeah, screwed them over too. Um, but yeah, I've heard it's a Comcast related issue. Not entirely sure that's true, but I've seen some more expanded posts on the forums kind of reaffirming that it's something along with Comcast, and I do have Comcast, so I don't know.
I have Comcast too. It happened to both Kenny and I. One thing I can tell you about Comcast though, I was having a lot of internet problems over the summer, so probably like season two last year. And the problem was my download was fine, but my upload would go, like drop through the floor because it would kick me off the VPN when I work from home. It would kick me out of meetings where I could hear people, but they couldn't hear me because my upload was just terrible. And oftentimes I could see everyone in races, but I would disappear for them. And on a couple occasions, it actually didn't score me because it never uploaded me doing another lap. I can think of about at least two instances where I went a lap down just under green flag racing. Um, and I can tell you, there is no way a consumer can tell Comcast there's a problem. Comcast has a lot of stuff in place to kind of innocently and nicely dick over their customer base because they don't know there's a problem and they don't want to know there's a problem because if they know there's a problem, they're obligated to fix it. And they mostly rely on average Joe Schmoes like Kenny and I, people who already have jobs, to do all their work for them and help out the otherwise helpless community of Comcast customers.
Well, it seems like iRacing as a company has kind of looked into it a little bit with them, and
I'm sure if anyone can get through to them in their thick skull, it would be a company like iRacing, because like
yeah, they
if
have to
this
go at
problem
them.
continues, I'll just switch providers.
Yeah, I mean they go at them from a you know as a group, not an individual. You don't have enough power as an individual. Um, But I will say this, I haven't had any issues since last Saturday. And I didn't have any issues before that either. Like I've never, the only problems I've ever had in iRacing are like if the server has some weird stuff going on, or if my computer has a problem. I've never had any internet problems on iRacing before then or after then. Um, but anyways, yeah. So that gave me the bad finish. I had to start in the back, well, or mid pack, I should say. And Justin Morton, it should be noted that he started 14th, right next to me. And so we go green, and it's like 14 lap green flag run to start. And I made up some spots, got up to somewhere around 8th, I think it was. And then we got a caution. And on the next restart, I was on the high side, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but um, my line just wouldn't go, and so I lost some spots. Um, and we had another restart, and my line kind of wasn't going again. And Adam Shane was in front of me, and a car was in front of him, and a car got like up in the wall or something, and he cut down right across my nose, and I just didn't have anywhere to go, and so I dumped him, and uh, he hit the inside wall. That was a caution. Felt bad for that, but it was like I didn't have anywhere I could go. Um, then I think the next caution was because I was on the bottom line. We were all in a train. Guys in front of me checked up, so I knew I was going to hit him anyways. So instead of slamming on my brakes in front of the guy behind me, I just let off the gas and I gave the guy in front of me a little tap, but he kept going. And I just get slammed from behind. But then I got hit square enough though to where I didn't, wreck. And then, but then behind him, those guys didn't slow down either. So the guy behind me, I think it was Todd, ended up getting spun. Um, because I don't know what people were doing. So that I ended up like I got up to 8th early on, and then back all the way back to 12th, which was one spot from where I started. And I noticed Justin was all the way up into like near the top 5 by this time. And so I had to pick my way through the field yet again. Got up to about 5th or so, 4th, 5th area, and then yeah, I got to 4th because I was behind James and I had Mark behind me. And on a restart, a few laps in, Mark was following me. He wasn't even, but I took a high arc into the corner, and he just dove it in there. Um, Nearly hit me, but he didn't. I could tell he was hardly in control. But then I got a good run off the corner because you give up your exit when you dive in like that. And so then I cleared him again, and then in the next corner, he dives in again, but straight behind me this time because I'm not arcing it in, and he goes in and hits me because he's hardly stopping in time. So I move up the track a little bit, but I save it. So then down in the very next corner, in turn one again this time, he dives it in, but since you're turning and braking at the same time, he's braking too hard and he's trying to not hit me again, and he almost loses it, but he manages to save it. But it was just frustrating because first I had the pace to stay in front, and he didn't even you don't pass people that way. You pass people starting on corner exit, and he nearly wrecked both of us a couple times. So it was a little bit frustrating, but we survived that. And then I got past James. I got up to 3rd, and then I was trying to get past Justin and try to go after JR. And I think Justin and I had something for JR last night. And we just kept getting cautions. So we'd battle for a couple laps and then caution. And then it just basically the whole rest of the race was like that. So I ended up 3rd. How was the race from your perspective? I saw you once at one time. That was about it.
Yeah, I started outside pole. Kurt was on the pole. He did some really, really good restarts, like kind of waiting to on different times and occasions to try and throw us off. The first restart I did well, and I was really conservative on my tires, just kind of making sure I could stay second and block the people behind me. Then we had a restart in like lap 10 for probably something stupid. I forget what, but we had another caution like another 5 or 10 laps later. I was still able to stay in second, but I'm really only good for about 2 restarts. After that, I'm just more terrible than usual. Um, so I I fell victim to just a bad restart. Jason Mendy got a great restart underneath me, starting in third, and he took second. So I was on the inside line in third. I think we had another just quick sprint to another caution, and I think I lost another spot, maybe 2 spots. Um, and that's just how it was. Like we'd have 5 laps or something, and then just get another caution. And I absolutely hate that. I can't stand it. But um, I'm pretty sure up in the front in all the commotion, I must have used up my tires too much because I ran out of speed and just handling problems. And I kept stupidly trying to go up high to make moves. And you just can't do that anymore. You got to wait till the tires come in, and then you have to make sure that you're not scrubbing your tires.
Yeah, I mean, the best time to make passes on the top side is definitely on the restarts. The way I was making most of my passes actually, and I didn't really like doing this because the bottom feels so abrasive on the tires when you're underneath somebody trying to make a pass, but I was able to get it done. And that was I would enter in high, and I would actually kind of do an over under, and I'd cut underneath them and then get that run off the corner. Um, and then if I got next to them, a lot of times if I somebody was on the high side in 1 and 2, they would kind of mess up their line, and it would give me a decent run down the backstretch. And then 3 and 4, I would actually I'd go in and drive through the middle of the corner real slow, and I would actually cut down like my left side tires on the exit like below the white line, and get a decent run, shortcut the track as much as I could, and then just drive it in deep in turn 1 and 2 if I was still next to them in order to clear for the pass. I was able to do that quite a few times, but it was pretty tricky.
It was hard too, because if I could make the top work or do something even to that extent or near it, it's like the person in front of me just like would enter in
Yes.
too hot, get loose, and I just be like, well, I can't, I'm not gonna make it 3 wide. That's just not smart. So it's just you're just kind of following the guy ahead of you at that point. It's like even though I could make progress or at least do something, I'm kind of at the will of whoever is in front of me, and unfortunately, it doesn't always work out well. But that's racing.
Yeah, I ran into that exact problem when I was trying to come through the field on some of those restarts. Just restart, once on the top side, and my lane didn't go, which I was like excited to be on the top side because you can make some good
It's
runs.
lucrative, especially if you can pinch the guy down,
Yes.
and if your line does well. But 9 times out of 10, if I was able to start on the high side, the person in front of me would like mess up, and then almost not clear the person in front of them or fighting with them, and then because I had to check up and they went, um, I wasn't there to take advantage of their pass to pass the guy they were just fighting with, and it was pretty frustrating.
Yeah. There was actually one restart where I think Ruben was in front of me, and he was on we were on the high side, and we go and I'm next to the guy that started in one spot ahead of me, and Ruben's battling, and he loses his battle, but he sees a gap on the bottom side, and he actually goes for him and goes for the bottom, and I'm like, awesome. So I actually next corner I send it down in there on the high side. I got nobody in front of me now, so I actually made up a spot on that guy that was I was battling with and Ruben because he dove down to the bottom, and then that checks up the whole bottom lane, and just a couple corners later I was able to clear him. So stuff like that like really helped out. But yeah, if you were in a train and like that bottom line would check up every restart, and that's kind of natural. The bottom line's always going to check up on restarts, but the top lane, if people can like get organized and hit their marks, the top line can make hay on the restarts. And we got James in chat saying he got stuck in the slow lane on every restart. I feel your pain, brother. I feel your pain.
He did, yeah. He was one person where every single restart, I look at my mirror, see who was where, and look in my windshield, and it was James is like the absolute wrong place you could be every time.
But yeah, so JR ends up winning. Justin second, I was third. James fourth. Mark Hertzog fifth. Bruce Pearson, decent run in sixth. Kurt Smith seventh, and Mike Allen eighth. He started 19th, up 11 spots for him, so he will start on the pole next week. Austin, you ended up 13th, so you'll have to make up some ground next week.
It was so bad. It was like every time you try to do something like
You got
in the
freight
person in your
train
lane.
once at least.
Well, yeah. Well, but like if the person in front of you can't make any hay on the outside, you're just kind of stuck there. And it seemed to happen every time I was behind like one or two people. It's like they go into the corner, get loose, and it's like, well, I can't drive through them, and I can't make it three wide, so I guess I'll just die.
Next week we're going to Lanier, which I actually won that race last season, so I'm pretty excited about that. We'll be back in the top eight, so not going for really championship at this point, but just looking to finish out the season strong, get a couple, maybe a couple wins. Who knows?
And then back into semi-retirement.
Yep, back into semi-retirement. Probably going to take the next 2 seasons off so I can focus on NIS, which we can touch on in a minute, and might do some other leagues. And I want to get back into NR 2003. That'd be something fun to do. Um, but anyways, this weekend was a little bit special because we had the Bathurst 12-hour. Western PAI Racing Yellow. We had one car. It was myself, Matt Chinaski, J.R. Shepard, and Brian Dean. We were in the 20th split out of 30 splits, and we qualified 41st out of 54 cars, but um, we ended up gridding from the pits, so we started like 53rd or 54th. Um, and the first stint, Matt was in the car. He got us up to about 30, low 30s. And then the next stint, JR was in the car. He got us up to around 20th. And then I was in the car third. Um, and I got us up to like 11th, I think it was. And then I think Brian got in the car. And then we were around the same place when I got in the car again. And the car was kind of sketchy feeling on cold tires, but then the track started heating up, and I think that actually made this car feel better to me, anyways. And I was pushing, trying to, you know, get some spots, and we had just cracked the top 10. I was in 10th, and at Bathurst, you got the cutting, which is when you start going up the hill, which is a tight left-hander, and then you got two right-handers after that. Well, and then it kind of S's around to be kind of a double left-hander. Well, in that last right-hander, there's a curb on the right side, and you can't hit that curb or else it's death. And I made this slight miscalculation, and I touched that curb, and I actually might have touched the inside wall too. And it just sent me across the track the other way, and I clobbered the left side wall. And I made it around to the pits, but we had to take about 15 minutes of repairs. Dropped us back to about 23rd. But we stuck with it. The car actually, surprisingly, even though it was down a few miles an hour on straight line speed, we were hella quick on the mountain. Like, seriously, as quick as the leaders up the mountain, even with our damage. And we ended up clawing back up to 16th. We were like 12 laps down, 13 laps down, but we still gained some I rating. And place like that, it's just good to finish. So 16th out of 54 cars is nothing to be ashamed about. But our next race will be at Sebring, 12 hours of Sebring in about 4 weeks, and we never really do well there. I think the car I was in got 9th, which is our best result. But hopefully we can get some more. Are you planning on doing that race with us?
Oh, of course.
So hopefully, I'm wondering if we could. We'll either probably do either the Corvette or the LMP2 for that.
Honestly, both great picks. You know how I feel about the Corvette, but the LMP is pretty cool. It's also nice to be in a prototype, as Daytona was the first time I'd ever done that, and it was pretty neat.
Yes. So I wanted to touch on NIS. I'm trying to run a full season NIS fixed this year, and our boys Matt and Brian, they're trying to run a full NIS Open season. Do you happen to have Brian's stream pulled up?
I do, yeah. Brian's currently sitting P27. I think this is right around where he started. They've done 57 laps of 134 so far. Brian did not qualify.
Do you know if Matt's in his split?
Matt is not in his split, unfortunately.
Gotcha, gotcha. So we like to keep up with that, but also I actually ran this week on Wednesday because I made a mistake and thought the Road to Pro was going to be this Thursday. And Saturday was Bathurst, so I was like, okay, well I can't run Thursday, I can't run Saturday, so I'm gonna have to run Wednesday. Um, I got home from work with and I logged into iRacing with about 4 minutes to spare before the race started. So I logged in. The only practice I got was my qualifying. So I technically qualified 22nd out of 35. I was in the third split, I believe. Yeah, there was 13 splits. I was in the third split, but I was number 2, so I was at the top of the third split. And we got one caution going into turn 1 on lap 1, and that ended up being the only caution. So I pitted that first caution. Um, kind of dropped to the back, rode around for a while, and then after everybody kind of single filed out, I decided to start making up spots. So I was just kind of calculating with my moves, and I ended up getting up to P11. And really, I thought maybe I could have gotten like 10th, but that was about where I deserved, was 10th, 11th spot. So I was really happy. 0X's, um, got good points, and gained some more I rating, and we'll head on to next week. That was pretty solid.
Yeah, I thought you made a lot of good moves out there, pulling the undercut in terms of the tires.
Yeah, so I decided to just pit basically whenever the leaders said, "Oh, I'm pitting." I just went down pit road. I knew that the leaders probably had a smart strategy, so I just trusted them and just pitted like exactly when they did, and it worked out pretty well. I mean, there was like one guy who ended up going as long as he could on every run and then pitting, and he ended up finishing ahead of me. But I think he would have had like way more pace than me, but his strategy actually kind of hurt him.
Yeah, his strategy was very, very poor. Just the way the math works out with the undercut. I mean, think about F1 and the tire fall off there. It's pretty much here at Homestead where there's so much tire fall off. I mean, you don't see the F1 guys talking about like, oh, we tried to make every stint as long as possible. No, they're always like, listen to Mercedes debriefs. They're always talking about the undercut, trying to protect from it. It's, you know,
Yeah, I mean we could have gone 60 some laps on fuel, but we were pitting like every 40. The track's just way too abrasive, and you just lose too much time in those 20 some laps. But I would like to, since I mentioned Road to Pro, I would like to talk about that. I believe that's next week for sure now. Yeah, I actually have the
it better
schedule right
be.
here.
Otherwise, I might be busy. I can't crew chief for you. I'm gonna have to find you another Alan Gustafson.
Yes. So March 4th. So that
It is this. Oh,
yep.
but NEP.
I was wondering about that. Now, I'm not really in for the championship at NEP, so I'm debating not running it. We'll see.
I think I'm gonna run NEP because I really like the cars and the guys there are so cool.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you don't have to crew chief for me for sure. But yeah, so it's March 4th at Las Vegas, 134 laps. And I like Vegas in the trucks. Remember, Road to Pros in the trucks. Open setup. And yeah, so we got Vegas, Atlanta, Richmond, Talladega, Darlington, Charlotte Oval, Martinsville, and Dover. And I think those tracks really do suit my talents. Um, I think we
I
might.
mean,
If we can
we
show up
talked
every
about
week.
this during the week too. Earlier this week, just talking over the phone with Discord, but I think a lot of those tracks really play into your wheelhouse in terms of tire conservation and not wearing out your stuff too quick.
Yeah, I mean Vegas, you're flat out for a lot of the time, but there is some finesse to it. Same with Atlanta. Atlanta more so actually. Um, and then Richmond for me, for whatever reason, I really like Richmond. It's a rhythm track, and I just am good at floating the truck in there and getting it down to the bottom and then a nice, easy on the throttle coming off. And I don't know, you get into a good rhythm there. And if hopefully we just get long green flag runs, that's really what I need. Talladega's a crapshoot. Darlington, um,
Tired.
yeah, basically just gonna be racing the racetrack there. Hopefully we can have a good strategy there. Charlotte, I'm decent there. I'm not the best at hitting the line there. But then Martinsville, I'm all right, but it's mainly just avoiding wrecks and stuff. And then Dover is also avoiding wrecks because that place is nuts when people start crashing.
I mean, concrete walls on both sides. You're screwed.
Yeah, that's like a big South Boston kind of. But we'll see. I'm optimistic for sure. Obviously, I'm not going to make up enough points to like be a pro, but it'll be nice to see, um, you know, if I can gain some iRating and gain some confidence to maybe pursue this in the future.
Yeah, I think this year hopefully we can make some more aggressive strategy calls and maybe try and go for the undercut more often than we did last year. Because there was a race, I think Richmond and Atlanta, where you could have won, but unfortunately we got undercut in the 2 to 3 seconds we were behind. It was because of the undercut, because the guys we were racing pitted before we could even think about pitting, and we stayed out a bit too long.
Yeah, and like at Richmond, we ran an NIS race, and like we got, I I ran all the way up to like third or fourth or something, and then finally I decided to pit under green. And literally the second I exited the pits, because obviously you go a lap down when you pit there, caution, and it just totally screwed me over. And it's like just one of those things like where it's like, man, if I pit early, you know, we're gonna, not get a caution. If I pit late, we are. I don't know. It always seems to be opposite, but
Yeah, well, it's whatever they can do to screw you over more is what's going to happen.
we still ended up with a. Well, actually, that race I got technically like DQ'd because of incidents, but that's a whole nother story. But the Road to
Good
Pro race, we
times.
ended up top five. So
No, exactly, exactly. And that's how it always is for me. It's if I take care of my tires, we get cautions. But if I go all out, there's no cautions, and
right.
I'm dead last.
So speaking of Richmond, I want to go back to last week and review Brian's retro or Rusty's retro race.
Yeah,
The,
get it right, Kenny.
yeah, sorry, I need to get used to it. It's two
No, it's
weeks.
okay.
So Rusty's retro race, NR 2003, as you know, Rusty Buttons on Twitch. He's actually live right now. Go check him out. Um, he runs an NR 2003 recreating history kind of thing, where he's right now he's in the 1983 NASCAR Cup Series season, and he ran the race number 2 of the season. It was Richmond 400, and Brian obviously is in there as himself, and he qualified P2, and he ended up
He took
finishing
the
P2.
lead
Yep, he did. He
off the
led 18.
start.
Yep, he led 18 laps. Um, this race, though, it was a pretty good race though because it had very few cautions, but one of the cautions did kind of screw a bunch of people over because it caught.
Got a
Uh,
lot of people a lap down
yeah,
because they pitted. And fortunately, I forget who was out at the time, but they stayed out, didn't pit. Caution came out and really helped them.
yeah. So there ended up only being two cautions, but a bunch of people got caught a lap down. But at the end, it was basically like Bobby Allison just totally dominated. He started seventh and got to the lead and led 278 laps. Darrell Waltrip started on pole. He led the early stages. But then, yeah, Bobby Allison took the lead and he was lights out. Darrell Waltrip, actually, Brian Dean was the only other car on the lead lap at the end. DW got on the lead lap at times, but then would fall off. So even though people were kind of screwed because of the caution thing, like realistically, only about 8 cars would have finished on the lead lap anyways because of
It's the
Bobby's
80s.
totally, yeah, Bobby was totally dominant. Um, so this week, we're heading to The Rock, track that I really wish that NASCAR would continue to go to.
I
And
love Rockingham. It's such a
oh
cool
yeah,
joint.
yeah, I love Rockingham. Definitely a driver's racetrack.
Oh, definitely. You really just got to float the car in. You can't manhandle the thing because you'll end up in the wall or sideways and then in the wall.
So this week, Bobby Allison's actually going for his 70th career victory in this race. Um, Brian's got this whole list of stats which are really cool about this. And but I was looking. I don't know if you have the grid up in front of you. I can always send it to you if you want to analyze it with me.
Of course, I don't have the grid. Where is that posted?
If you have his Google Doc 1983 statistics, it's
Oh, I
in there.
definitely do not have that.
I will see if I can copy it here. Let's see if that works. But anyways, um, some different guys up front. Um, and if that doesn't work too, I can share it with you.
Oh no, yep, I see it right here. I got Bill Elliott on the pole, yeah,
Yep.
and Richard Petty. Richard Petty is like, even though he was still fast at this time in real life, he's not very good in the Brian simulation.
Thing is, though, he has had a couple good finishes to start the year. I thought. Let me look here.
We got some other semi nobodies kind of in the top 10 there too. Not
Yes.
nobodies, but like Slick Johnson, Ron Bouchard, Cecil Gordon, DK Ulrich. Those are guys that are not often do you see him up there. Brian qualified, I think 20th.
Yeah, Richard Petty's finishes so far are P8 and P12, so he's been okay.
And to be honest, unless Terry Labonte does some weird, just wins most of the races again, that is championship level performance. You want that average finish to be in the top 10 for these guys.
Oh, for sure. So, at the moment, too, Brian's second in points coming into this race as well. And I thought that he had a past winners thing for this track. I can't seem to find it. But anyways, like
Oh yeah, Dave Marcus and Stan Barrett in 1980. In 1981, Harry Gant swept both races, and in '82 it was Benny Parsons and Buddy Arrington.
gotcha. That's what I wanted to know. So yeah, like I expect DW to be pretty fast here. Mark Martin, great qualifying for him. But yeah, Slick Johnson up there, and some notables near the back like Dale Earnhardt, P35 that would be. So yeah, he's in the back. Jimmy Means, even though he's not really a great car, he's had good finishes early on. Um, he's back there in 38th, and Dick Brooks, he made it in. Only two cars didn't make it. That's John McFadden and Blackie Wangerin. Cale Yarborough made it much easier this race. In Daytona he had to kind of provisional his way in to get into that race. Um, but yeah, Austin, you got a. Oh, by the way, our picks from last week. Who did we pick to win, or did we? I don't remember.
I picked DW. I forget who you
Didn't
picked.
I pick Neil
Oh,
Bonnet?
I think you picked Neil Bonnet.
So yeah, DW ended up third, and then Neil Bonnet ended up seventh. Not too bad. So Austin, well, let's make it fair. Since I finished worst the last week, you mind if I have the pick this week first?
No, you're supposed to pick first. Yep.
Okay, I will pick DW to win this one.
Oh,
P3.
jeez.
He's short track ace. I have to go with him, and not sure if it'll matter. But Bobby Allison's starting a little bit worse this week, starting P11. Um, I think this will fall into Daryl's wheelhouse. So who will you pick since I stole your pick?
You know what? I see Benny Parsons won a race. Harry Gant's won some races. He's starting 13th. Um, might as well go with Texas Terry.
The champ is here. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, hopefully he can win today. But Tim Richmond would be a cool pick too.
For sure. And
But I'll go with Terry.
thing is, this race might end up being kind of weird because I know there's been a lot of cautions in the last couple races here. This is a tough track, and AI want to do AI things, so we shall see. But yeah, points coming in so far. Darrell Waltrip, he has a chance to really extend have a good points lead after just a few races. He's 43 points ahead of Brian right now, with Buddy Baker third, Neil Bonnet fourth, Bobby Allison fifth, Richard Petty sixth, Tim Richmond seventh, Daryl Sage, the young rookie, in the top 10 right now, and Lake Speed and Dick Brooks top 10 in points at the moment. So, um, yeah, I'm excited to watch. It's going to be a long race. It's like 492 laps at Rockingham. So, yeah, it'll be a challenge for sure, but I'm up for watching it.
Some notables though outside the top 10: Dale Earnhardt in 11th, um, Jeff Bodine 18th, Cal Yarbrough 19th, Morgan Shepherd 20th. Okay, and then get ready for this: the champ Terry Labonte is in 21st.
Yeah, so at Daytona, he was right up in the front too, and caused a huge accident at the end, which killed his finish. He went 37th, yeah, 37th at Daytona, and then at Richmond, I don't remember what happened to him at Richmond, but oh yeah, he was ninth. So I mean, it was decent,
I
I
mean,
guess,
yeah,
but
not a
not
not a bad race. Any top 10 is a good race, but his average finish is obviously it's 23rd, so really bad.
yeah. And I mean, he's the champ, so I mean,
He is a
we need
champ.
high
He can still make a
expectations.
comeback. There's no chase. He can come back from it.
So,
But I mean, probably Darrell Waltrip to win the championship though. That'd be pretty cool.
oh yeah, we know
He'd be
some
my
people.
pick today if you didn't pick him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I knew you would have picked him definitely.
He got the Pepsi car, man. And he's so fast. It's.
And I think this is Bill Elliott's first career pole, if I remember correctly.
I think so. It's not in the notables on the right side of the page, so I have to assume Brian, being the all-knowing, infinite memory kind of guy, he would have written it down.
But yeah, this will be a cool race at a cool track, so I'm looking forward to it. I guess we can move on to some other video game news. I've actually gotten a little bit more of Dirt Rally 2.0 playing in there. I actually kind of use it to sharpen my driving control and driving skills. Granted, the the physics obviously are different than like an iRacing or something, but it just like visual aids, like knowing visuals coming at you, working on reflexes, just general car control. It's a really helpful tool to me, and knowing like shifting and all that stuff. I got a lot going on. Throttle control, braking control, it's all there, and I've been having fun with it.
You're also too. I mean, you're sideways too.
Yeah, you are. I mean, you have to get used to being sideways. You have to. It's everything's so line sensitive too, because like if you're left a few feet or right a few feet, you're you're gonna crash. It's not just a
Oh, you'll
matter
hit a
of
tree real quick.
yeah. I mean, it's not just a matter of like losing a little bit of time. So you have to hit your marks, and I think that's another thing where it's just another form of precision driving that I don't know. It helps. I think it helps me out, but it's also fun.
I mean, it's super fun to do the rallying stuff like that. It's also really enjoyable too to just kind of like nail a corner and get it right, and that's the first time you've ever done it. And it's also really neat to like you have to pick and choose your battles in terms of cutting corners because someone's they tell you like there's a rock inside, don't cut it because you'll die. But usually you can kind of just go off the road by a little bit and squeeze out that extra tenth of a second.
Right. Yeah. Like there's this one like Travis Pastrana was in an interview and he said like there's things in rally like if you hear your co-driver say like right six through gate, you know that you know it's gonna be risky, but a right six, that's a number six, that is the lightest of corner, where one is the tightest of corner. If that makes sense. So you know that you can go flat out through a corner like that. You don't. I mean, but it's gonna be risky
Almost
because you got a
flat out.
gate. But you can, if you're willing to do it, you can go flat out through there and you can make up time.
Well, because there is also flat turns. I mean, they'll tell you like this
They
one's
will tell you
flat.
flat. Yeah.
So six is like maybe tap the brakes a little bit and reduce your speed, kinda. But yeah, those are times where you really know like if I go through here well and don't lift or do something stupid to slow down much, you come out ahead by a lot.
Right. But I know you've been playing some Grand Theft Auto and some Forza.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto is just playing with my college buddies, but then Forza is, you go on once a week, so like Thursday or Friday after they come out with a new season update to see what kind of free cars you can get by doing the things and the 50% season completion, and then the rolling 4 season completion. Um, and kind of a bit of a rant. It's like they made you get 5 thread the needle things, but, like, they're almost impossible to get because you have to rely on the AI cars to load in, like, side by side with each other, and it doesn't happen all too often. Like, I probably spent, like, 2 hours just driving up and down the freeway hoping to thread the needle between some cars because I did not wanna do it in races where the AI can move and just screw you over.
Yeah, I've been kind of away from the Forza stuff, and oh
I don't know
gosh,
why I keep doing it, to
yeah,
be honest. It's just something to do, and it's nice to see what kind of free cars you can get, because some of them are rare and some are cool. Like, I know before you could get the Corvette if you did some special stuff, and I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm getting on there to get the Corvette." And I mean, they have some cool cars, but, for the
yeah.
bonuses.
If I do any Forza anymore, it's actually Forza Motorsport because that game I actually Motorsport 7. I haven't actually done a ton in that. I've played quite a bit, but not like I did with past Forza games. So like there's
What?
a ton of cars I haven't owned. There's a ton of like a lot of time I haven't spent on online racing. I mean, I've done it. I haven't completed the campaign technically. So,
Really?
oh yeah,
I did, like, every single thing, like, they're all grayed out for me. I've done them all.
yeah. See, I haven't. So I don't know. I think it's mainly because like the group of friends I used to play that game or Forza games with, they didn't care for it just because the especially early on it was very buggy and the other people on multiplayer were very like the racecraft in Forza is really depleted. Like we started at Forza 3 and Forza 4 was the prime. Like the racing was so good in Forza 4, but now that Forza 7's like so popular, it's too mainstream and commercialized to where you get just a bunch of plebs that have no idea what racing even is and have zero racecraft, and they just wreck each other.
The ranked though was really good. That was the first time I'd ever played a whole lot of online like ranked in Forza. I forget what it was called, but like you
Leagues?
basically, you start out in like the lowest division and if you have clean races and do well, you move up in ranks and I'd just go in and I'd win every single race and then I'd have to pick the best car and then I would just mop the floor with the field because they just chose whatever car they wanted. And I was like, well, this is going to be a top speed track, so I'll pick like the Jag or something. And I kept winning and winning and winning until you get eventually to like the highest one you can be in. And maybe you win every now and again, and you get second, third, top fives, and you keep going, and then you just, you can win some, but you finish last sometimes. And I thought that was pretty fun. The racing in there is usually pretty clean, but if you just go into an open server, you're in for a bad time.
Yeah, so I think they had leagues in Forza 6 as well, and where you increase divisions like that, and it was fun, but I kind of ran into a problem because I would run it with some of my friends, but eventually it would get to the point where like one of us would advance division and it would be before the others would advance division. So after that, we wouldn't be in the same races anymore.
Yeah,
So
I wish they did what War Thunder does, where if one of the people in your squad is like in the top tier, it puts your whole squad in the top tier, and it sucks to suck,
yeah,
but like you get to play with your friends, so it's worth it.
right. Yeah, so once that became an issue, it was like, well, we're not playing together, so why play together? So,
And they removed the AI from online. I mean, they weren't great, and especially at a big track, like the AI would just truck into you because only one person owns the AI, and it can't calculate the AI for 3 people plus yourself. So they removed that, and it really just took a lot of the fun out of online.
but yeah, so I might get back into that a little bit, but
I think I'm retired from that, but I'm really hoping Forza 8 comes out
yeah,
soon because it has been like 5 years, maybe 3 or 4 at least, and
yeah,
we
I
were
think it's been like
supposed to get
3.
a new motorsport like last year, and they pushed it off,
I
and
assume it'll be, um, like late summer, early fall this year, hopefully.
I hope so. Otherwise, there's no need for me to get an Xbox Series X because
Yep.
I just the why.
So, rant time.
What's got you hot under the collar, Kenny?
Uh, and this does not pertain to one particular league or series or game. Well, kind of game, because the only game I play with cautions is iRacing. But, um,
It's
too,
a simulator, Kenny.
yeah, okay, whatever. Too many cautions. And luckily, like in NIS, for example, I only had one caution to deal with, so that was cool. But like I've run in a couple leagues, not just one, couple 3 leagues that have just had way too many cautions. And like it's it's insanity is what it is because like the cautions are really the same kind of stuff every single week. It's a multiple different scenarios. It's not like one scenario every time, but it's a group of these scenarios that just happen every single week, and um, it's usually the same kind of people as well. And it's just a shame because in these leagues, in every one of these situations, the racing up front is epic. It is awesome. There's great battles going on. And the battles get killed by just stuff going on for, 10th place. And um, it's just a shame because, like, these leagues, all the leagues I'm talking about right now are broadcasted, and the people are watching us, and they want to see a show. And I know that the guys up front are providing the show, and it just gets killed every time we get a caution. And sure, an occasional restart is exciting.
It's not even the guys up front too. It can be anywhere in the field because there's always a battle going on somewhere, and the broadcast can
Yeah.
pick those up, and it really allows for a showcase for the people that aren't fighting for the win but are still fighting, and there's still a lot of good racecraft going on.
Well, the thing is too is um, like when you have just constant restarts, the race doesn't get to develop. So I mean, you might have a guy in like 7th place. He's pretty solid, but if you run 2 laps and then get a caution the whole race, he's not even gonna have a chance to like even show what he can do. I mean, he's because these races are too short to have that. So if you have half your laps or caution laps, I mean, you're not gonna have a show. And um, you know, I obviously would lack of cautions would have helped me in some of these races. Yes, but that's not the reason why I'm bringing it up. It's like I don't care really what position I'm in. A race is more fun when I can just drive, when I can race against people, when the race can develop. And it's interesting, especially in like an ARCA cars, to see like comers and goers, guys that take care of their tires, guys who don't. And when you have just restarts all the time, you don't get to see that. And it just, I don't know. It's just disappointing, and it's not fun for anybody, either in the car or out of the car. But I just wish some of the standards of driving would change. Well, what's your take on it?
Same as yours, and people aren't trying to wreck.
No.
It's just being put in bad situations that can really destroy races and stuff. So obviously, I would much prefer that the races just go green, or there only be a caution or two. And that's because I suck on restarts, but I also just really like having to take care of your tires and just see how the race plays out naturally. But it is what
So
it is.
here's a stat for you. So we had one caution only at South Boston, right? But after that, we had 8 cautions. This is BRL on Saturdays, the Grand National Series. Um, we had 8 cautions after that. Then we had 10, and then we had 9, and then we had 8 again, I believe, this week. It's too many. I don't know how things need to change exactly, what people need to do, but just gotta stop hitting each other. Um, that's basically the point I wanted to make. So in our last segment, um, we have some new things in the getting around to it, and I heard you finished another model up.
I did, yeah. You probably saw my pictures I put in Brian's Discord and the modeling stuffs. Finished my Rusty Wallace car. The paint turned out really nice, actually, a lot better than I thought it would. So that was pretty cool. It looks okay. Um, I don't know what I'm gonna build next. I kind of want to build something from like the last 20 years, maybe 30. I don't know. We got a lot of models I could do out in the garage. I just got to pick one
I
and
love
do
the
it.
old cars.
I like them too. I just, after I got done with this one, it'd be cool to do something from the 90s or early 2000s.
Yeah, one of my other leagues that we both run in NEP Grand National Series, we had a 50 lap race. We have 5 cautions. That was a couple weeks ago. But the last race we actually had 0 cautions. But then the week before that
Well,
we had
I mean, it was
7.
at Auto Club too, though.
Yeah, we had
So,
7 cautions the week before that, and then 3 before that, which isn't too bad. But yeah, just a little more consistency on that would be nice. But yeah, that I thought that Rusty Wallace blue car turned out pretty awesome. Um, and Brian's cars are starting to rusty buttons again. His cars are starting to take shape, and those cars are going to look sweet when they get the paint and the decals on them. So I'm pretty excited to see that.
oh yeah, definitely. I think that's why he missed the race last night. I think he said he was gonna start painting them, so it'll be cool to see how those turn out. I'm really looking forward to it.
One thing I'm getting around to is actually a new PC build. Basically, basically made a monster of a PC, which I'm gonna log in real quick and pull that up.
Was this because your current one isn't great, or it's just time for an upgrade again, or what are you doing?
Um, so I like this computer, but it can't do exactly what I want it to do. Now, it can run things fine, it can stream, but the thing is like if I'm streaming iRacing, I have to turn the graphics down relatively far. And my goal here is I want to be able to run iRacing at just about top of the line graphics and be able to stream. Now, what I could do too is I could do a two PC setup to stream off of. Not sure if I want to do that yet. But this computer I have, it's been great for me. I haven't had any problems really. And this one was um, it custom built. My buddy Tyler uh, basically put it together for me. I bought all the parts. He came over and built it for me. And we'll probably do the same thing for this one. He enjoys doing that. But yeah, I'm not sure how savvy everybody out there is with PC specs, but um, I'd like to get the Intel Core i9 10900K processor, which is the top dog right now. And I'm actually looking at liquid cooled, not like a custom setup, but like just Corsair makes a liquid cooler, which has got like fans connected to like basically 2 tubes that go to like a reservoir. It's pretty simple. MSI gaming motherboard. That's what I started with on this one, or that's what I have on this one as an MSI. 32 gig of RAM, a 2 terabyte solid state hard drive, plus a 4 terabyte regular internal hard drive. And then the big boy is the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Ti, which is a very expensive graphics card, but that's what I'd like to get. It's kind of the top dog right now. And NZXT case with glass sides, and then a 850 watt 80 plus titanium certified fully modular power supply. So it's not a cheap build, but it'd be an awesome, awesome machine.
It's pretty cool. I definitely look forward to that and hearing more updates about it in the future. Curious to see if you can pull off max graphics while streaming. It'll definitely make your streams look better. Maybe you could become the best streamer. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Yeah,
Face
I
competition and Brian.
and then after that I mean obviously I'm gonna probably kind of buy these like part by part, and this is not gonna be like a 1 week, oh it's done kind of thing. Want to be smart with my finances. But uh, after this is done, I'd like to probably look into upgrading the iRacing setup, getting some different monitors for this rig, and maybe obviously different wheel and pedals and stuff. So yeah, it'll be fun for sure.
You gotta go with the ultra wide monitor like Lowell did. That looks really nice.
I'm not sure. I like having three separate monitors. I'll have to look into it. My thinking was like three like 27s, but we'll see. Not exactly sure what I want to do yet on that.
See, it'd be really cool, and I was hoping I could do it with my TV, but the resolution just isn't there for it. But the ultra wide you could is have like a Google Chrome window the size of a regular computer monitor on my TV. And with the ultra wide you can do that because it's still like three screens. It's just all one. Because it'd be like 1080 by like 5000 or something, maybe like three or four. But you could definitely do that. It'd just be a lot harder to like position all the stuff because of the windows. You just click a window, drag it, and throw it up to the top of the the screen, and it just clicks in to be full size.
Yeah, I do wonder like now Justin, my roommate, he has an ultra wide, but it's a smaller ultra wide. Um, and I know he had some problems with like getting the resolution right on certain games, but I think he's kind of figured them out. That's one thing I'm a little bit concerned with is being able to play other games, because I do play other PC games too, not just racing games. But yeah, James in the chat says ultra wide is where it's at. Less stress on your computer and you don't lose much. Now that's a great point because you only have one thing plugged into one display adapter instead of right now I have four because I have the three monitors and then my one little streaming monitor. So yeah, guaranteed that's a lot more stress on
I
my
think
computer.
Lowell said too. He mentioned he more than like doubled or tripled his FPS going from three monitors to just one. So that could honestly be part of it too, Kenny. You get that one monitor and you can run way better graphics and still maintain the same frames.
Maybe. We'll have to see. I like to do my homework on this stuff, do some research, and look at some reviews and stuff like that. But also, Brody's in the chat. He gave us looks like a cat in sunglasses. So
Right back at you,
that's
broster.
yeah. I don't know what that means, but right back at you. But yeah, that was. I think that's about wraps up the show this week. This was a very different feeling show. It was a lot more like casual feeling, and I like that.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Hopefully, we can get back to having more guests. It's hard to operate, the time span and how much time we can allocate to different things. I think today we would have had a half hour free for a guest. So again, try to get the show ironed out.
Oh, for sure. And I think we got an idea for a possible guest next week or in the coming weeks. So we shall see. But anyways, thanks James for hanging out with us, and we will talk to everybody next week for sure. We will talk about our the Cup Homestead race and the races from next week. And as always, I'm Kenny Kibbe along with co-host Austin Belkey. We'll see you next time, and Godspeed.